Coming up in Sharks from the Depths, we go swimming with the great white, getting up close and personal with the diving community.
Look at him.
There's just sharks everywhere, all different kinds.
We uncover the finning market and talk to a former NBA star whose second act includes putting an end to the illegal trade. We'll also explore the environmental effects of shark behavior. Finally, we talk to a shark attack survivor from right here in Southern California who, after a miraculous recovery, has focused on dedicating his future to lifeguarding.
Maybe someday I'll be the captain. Captain Keen, yeah.
That and much more coming up. Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Rick Dicker. They are perhaps the most intimidating underwater force on the planet, weighing on average over 1,200 pounds, with a bite stronger than a lion's. Yet we are only recently starting to learn more about this extraordinary species, the great white shark. While Hollywood and other media tend to portray sharks as dangerous beings, every year more humans kill sharks than sharks kill humans. This while more humans are now seeking interactions with the sharks, not to harm them, but to spend time with them. Christina Gonzalez is one of those people who has been diving with sharks for some time.
There are some sharks in the water.
There are some sharks in the water.
Yes, there are sharks, and that's exactly what we have gathered to see diving from boats or walking in from the beach. From a drone, you can see large schools of leopard sharks in shallow waters near San Diego. They are harmless to humans, as is the elusive seven-gill, almost hunted to extinction. So it's a good moment when we spot the unmistakable rhythm of a shark making its way into the marine reserve areas in Southern California. In this delicate habitat, fishing is prohibited, and respectful sharing of space with all kinds of underwater creatures is really awe-inspiring.
And there it is.
There are places where putting out bait, called chumming, is allowed in waters where sharks are protected.
Watch some shark feeding. And think, they're only about 800 pounds. Not like they need more weight on them.
The international waters between Florida and the Bahamas. Bimini is ground zero for shark encounters and a growing shark tourism business that supports ocean conservation and the locals, even if some of them think,
oh, you guys are crazy. Jesus, Lord have mercy. You're crazy people. I don't want to get with those sharks.
Most divers come here looking for the shy hammerheads or notorious tiger sharks, but other types invariably show up. Conservation efforts and education have changed the emotional bond between humans and sharks. But for some of my fellow LA divers, taking that first plunge, well, it can be nerve-wracking.
I did not think I would be this nervous when I came out here. I feel like it goes against everything, like all your natural survival instincts.
Look at him.
What's our plan? Are we going down the line? I was scared.
Yeah.
I was scared.
You were scared, but you wanted to do this anyway, and why would that be?
Because I love sharks.
We are covered head to toe in black, working in groups with experienced shark feeders who have briefed us on safety tips like jump in and swim to the bottom immediately.
As fast as possible, no time on the surface.
Generally speaking.
And why is that?
Gets things excited that have big teeth.
Stuff swimming on the surface is like their natural prey, so we don't want to look like that any longer than we have to.
There are sharks everywhere as we swim our way to the bottom, where a carefully choreographed feeding of tigers or hammerheads begins. Initially, it can be intimidating.
There's just sharks everywhere, all different kinds, and that becomes really scary.
But after a while, you get a sense of the dance between feeders and sharks, which actually line up to get a chunk of barracuda or whatever bait seems much more tasty to them than any of us. Or the other fish and smaller sharks hoping for a dropping morsel to drop nearby. It is an intimate look at an amazingly powerful, possibly lethal yet graceful apex predator, which surprises many first-timers.
How peaceful they actually were.
They're not what we've made them out to be, as these like monsters.
Now, that's not to say that a shark can't take a quick turn and try to bite a camera like this one did while I was diving blue water off the coast. And most divers will stay inside a cage while feeding white sharks in Guadalupe waters off Baja California. Accidents do happen, but still, every time one of us spots a shark anywhere, the excitement and adrenaline kick in. Why?
I think it's the connection to Mother Nature. You know, to be a scuba diver in general, you've got to like nature and have that desire to be connected to nature.
If there was something you wanted to come out of this whole thing we're doing, what would it be?
And even though they don't seek us out to hurt us, that they are capable of doing that. And it's about the respect and just letting them be what they are, and instead of us making them into something they're not.
And obviously these shark feeders are trained and they deal with the same sharks regularly. The rest of us, we just get to enjoy them. And I know, Rick, you're ready to join us, aren't you? Ready to trade some surfing lessons for some scuba diving lessons?
I like to surf, but I think I would be useless 20 feet underwater, Christina. All right, recently I sat down with Dr. Chris Lowe, professor in marine biology and director of the Shark Lab at California State University, Long Beach. We talked if global warming had an impact on shark behavior and if we were seeing more sharks in Southern California. So we've seen more and more stories about sharks here off of the Southern California coast, more video than ever before.
And that's because there are more sharks. And the cool thing is, I never expected this. So I've been working in Southern California for 30 years. And 30 years ago, when I first started studying sharks here, hearing about a white shark along the beach was rare. And now it is super common. I never thought I would see this day. So as these numbers have been coming back, I began to ask how. How are they coming back? And it turns out California did something wise back in the 90s. They protected white sharks. And they were being caught in commercial fisheries, so that protection has enabled them to come back, but that's only part of the story. So they can't come back without food. And of course, the adults' favorite thing to eat are marine mammals. And marine mammal populations were hunted to the verge of extinction in California by the early 1900s. So now they're coming back like gangbusters. So we have seals and sea lions that are a key food item for the adults. So Southern California is the nursery for white sharks in the whole Northeast Pacific. This is where they come and give birth. And those babies like hanging out on our beaches.
Sea surface temperatures, does that have an impact on how many sharks occur in a certain area?
Birthing season is spring. That's when babies start showing up at our beaches, and that's when the sightings start to go up. So not only are people out more because it's summer and the weather's good and schools are out, so kids are out, but there's more sharks because that's the season, we call this shark season in Southern California, starts around April and goes to about October. And that's the time when a lot of sharks, not just white sharks, are coming back to Southern California to give birth to their young. So mako sharks, thresher sharks, salmon sharks even come all the way from Alaska to Southern California to give birth to their young. And that's because our area, Southern California Bight, is one of the most productive places in the entire West Coast.
More from Dr. Lowe in a bit, but coming up next, a shark attack survivor who 3 years after his near-death encounter is on the road to becoming a lifeguard. We'll hear his story coming up next. Welcome back to Sharks from the Depth. 3 years ago, Keen's life was forever changed during a diving incident in Encinitas, California. At the speed of 30 miles per hour, a shark would bite into the left side of his body. Keen, at just 13 years old, survived, and through it all, never lost his passion for the water. Keen Webre-Hayes became comfortable in the water at an early age.
My dad started me surfing when I was about maybe like 4 or 5-ish. Pretty much since then, I just had the bug.
In the early hours of September 29, 2018, Keen's life was forever changed after going lobster diving with a friend.
So I was doing a couple dives, and I just felt something just, come in out of nowhere and just smack me and just, hit me, pushed me super far, and I was underneath the water. So I come up to the surface, and I'm like looking around, and my mask was off, So I was kind of confused by that, and then I'm looking around, I was like, oh, maybe it was just Noah trying to, my friend trying to scare me. And so I look over and he's all the way over there with his snorkel still in the water. So, that kind of didn't make sense. And then I look over and I see, all that. And I was just like, oh, geez, that shouldn't be like that.
I started to hear screaming, what I made out to be shark. So as I ran down and people started coming out of the water, I was looking for Keen and he never came out. So I realized that it was him. And you can only imagine, I had no idea what the injury was, I had no idea, but just the thought of a shark attacking your kid.
Never really crossed my mind that it was a shark.
Acting lifeguard captain at the time, Larry Giles, was in the water that day.
It was kind of surreal, surfacing out of the water and then actually having, one of my own lifeguards come up and, not knowing who I was, telling me to get out of the water.
Keen swam to a kayaker who rowed him to shore. After being treated by the lifeguards, Keen was airlifted to a hospital and endured 5 hours of surgery, which included 1,000 stitches.
When he woke up, we were actually treading very cautiously. I wasn't quite sure what kind of trauma he had gone through. One of the very first things he said to me is, am I going to be able to surf? And when, Mom? And I thought maybe he was delusional.
Pretty much the second I woke up from surgery, I was talking to my mom about going surfing, and she was just like...
After being released from the ICU, Larry met Keen for the first time to submit an official incident report.
My memory is kind of blurry, but I remember he was like, you're pretty, legit, he was like pretty crazy, after going through that. And then he gave me, a lifeguard hat and all that. And I was just like, am I a lifeguard?
Just his demeanor when he was talking about being attacked, he was just so calm, collected, and very, well-spoken, and he just kind of took it.
Keen would press his mom to allow him to go surfing again just 3 months after the attack. And after that, even go shark diving.
That was a horrible experience for me. There was no cell service for 5 days while he was out in the Guadalupe Islands. I just had to process through it and just hope he had those same angels watching over him as he did that day. But I knew Keen had to do it. He never saw the shark that bit him, so there's something very cathartic on seeing the animal that changed your life.
It was definitely life-changing and big eye-opener for me. And I feel like a lot more people should see that side of sharks. They're not evil, they're just, trying to eat, they're hungry. So they're definitely a huge part of our ecosystems and our oceans, So I just think it's good to try and save them, and I don't know, I'm on their side, even though that one,
Wasn't too nice.
Yeah, I don't like him.
Keen continued his waterways by pursuing a lifeguard aid job.
Me and my mom would just go bring snacks down to the lifeguard, the Moonlight Station, and just go hang out, and we would just talk for a while. And yeah, it was just super cool experience.
Really tried to get him to, hey, look, think about lifeguarding. Come on down and start working for us. And so he was really gravitating to that.
All the time, people would ask him, what do you want to do? And I would hear him say, I want to be a lifeguard. And again, I would be like, well, maybe, we'll see.
I was helping out on a call and someone had a dislocated shoulder, and it just felt good, even though I wasn't really doing anything, it felt good to kind of help them and, make sure they were, not in pain or, just, all that. So it felt good to help someone and, and at least, make people feel good around the water, because the beach is a pretty cool place and a lot of people are scared of it. So to have, someone watching them and they feel better about it, and they get to go experience this cool place, it just makes me feel good and kind of, share the stoke of the ocean and all that.
Probably the proudest moment I've had thus far of Keen's life. Remembering that day of being on the beach and seeing those lifeguards, just in the word itself has so much deep meaning. They're guarding people's life, and they saved my son's life.
Maybe someday I'll be the captain, and then I can help out the next Keen, you know what I mean? Kind of, pass it on to the next generation. So, it'll feel good, and I'll be, Captain Keen.
What a remarkable story of resilience and courage by Keen. I can't wait to see what he conquers next. Meanwhile, I talked to Dr. Lowe on shark encounters and how his group has learned more about the species through their innovative technology. What are the chances of somebody getting attacked by a shark?
You have a better chance of winning Powerball than you do of being bitten by a shark. When you go to the beach, should you be worried about sharks? You might hear on the news, oh, there are white sharks off this beach. But we've been studying these animals for 10 years, and we have never seen any indication of those young sharks acting aggressively towards people.
Drones everywhere, and they're sighting these sharks more than ever. Talk about that.
Drones are changing the way we do science. They're changing we understand marine animal behavior, especially for those that are in shallow water. Now the challenge with drones is you get lots of video footage, but some poor student has to scrub through all that to actually extract that data. So we've teamed up with engineers to develop machine learning algorithms that will help us identify objects like that's a surfer laying down, that's a surfer standing up, that's a boogie boarder, that's a stand-up paddleboarder, that's a white shark, that's a leopard shark. So by using that technology, we can scrub through hours and hours of footage very quickly. We can estimate the size of the sharks that are out there, how many, their densities, and then use environmental data like remote sensing data, like ocean temperatures or chlorophyll data, to try to figure out why is this cluster of sharks here and not there. So the toolbox that's available to us now is simply amazing. It's changing the way we can understand shark behavior.
Drones have provided so much analytical information as Lowe and his team try to track these animals. Meanwhile, coming up, Christina Gonzalez tells us how finning is endangering sharks. Welcome back to Sharks from the Depths. I'm meteorologist Rick Dicker. Over 73 million sharks a year are killed, many due to the demand of shark fin soup, a delicacy popular in Asia. To collect the fins, it involves removing a shark's fin at sea and leaving the body to drown in the ocean. Christina Gonzalez has more on the efforts being made to protect certain shark species in danger of extinction.
Sunrise. Scuba expedition leader Nick LeBeouf sets out with us to deep waters of the Southern California coast. We're looking for migrating blue sharks.
Blue sharks are beautiful sharks. They've got a nice iridescent purple hue on their back.
Beautiful but endangered. One reason, their popularity in the shark fin fishing trade.
What is the price of shark fin soup?
The focus of a Wild 8 campaign featuring legendary retired basketball player Yao Ming, known for condemning shark fin soup, popular in Chinese culture.
Before I'm doing this, before I get educated by doing this, and I know that the people take the sharks and cut their fins off and store their body back. It looks sad, very sad. But after that, we know. After that, I know that every year there's a 73 million sharks killed in this way, and the follow problem is that when the shark is not slowly, it's quickly dying, and the entire cycle in the ocean in this nature will be destroyed, and also will affect to us. And that's the problem we're leading to us.
So this is just a tragic and criminal waste.
The executive director of Wild 8 explains there are other serious threats to sharks in campaigns with the likes of gold medalist swimmer Amanda Beard.
They get caught on these hooks designed for tuna. And it's not uncommon to see a line fishing for tuna where there might be 3 sharks for every tuna that's caught. So there's a huge bycatch from the tuna industry. Obviously, they're caught in trawl nets when their trawling goes on, and other types of fishing. So many places in the world now, we used to call shark-infested waters. Most of them now, it's hard to see a shark.
A point that becomes painfully obvious as Nick LeBeouf sets out a box of bait to attract the blues. Seagulls feast as we wait for hours. Only getting photos of one small juvenile, this young one is the only shark we see at a location where we used to see dozens.
You can't take out something at the top and expect the ocean to survive and thrive.
In a healthy ocean ecosystem, sharks, which grow very slowly and reproduce few young, eat other creatures like fish that reproduce quite rapidly. Too many or few fish change the balance of other life forms and reefs where kelp grows. Healthy kelp maintains oxygen levels and influences key factors affecting seawater and ultimately our future.
And as a keystone species, as a top predator, that obviously impacts the entire ecosystem underneath. And so I think it's very ironic that, you know, sharks have been here for several hundred million years and we could wipe them out really in a single human generation.
Thank you, Christina, for that important piece. Coming up, we talk to Dr. Lowe one last time, and he tells us what to do if you encounter a shark. So if you are in that ultra rare situation where you encounter a shark out in the Pacific.
So what we always tell people to do is keep your eyes on the shark, right? So let the shark know you see it. I can't tell you how many people I see in the water with sharks right near them, but they don't even know the shark's there. If you lived in California and you've spent a lot of time in the ocean, I can guarantee a white shark swam right by you and you didn't know it. So first of all, that's probably happening all the time. So people just need to relax, but there's some things you can do to stay safe. Number one, stay in a group. Statistically, we know that when people are in a group, they're much less likely to be bitten than if they're off by themselves. The other thing is, if you see the shark, vast majority of the people that are bitten never see the shark coming. If you see the shark, you should always keep your eye on the shark and track it. Let the shark know you see it, because most of their behavior is about sneaking up on things, right? So if you let that shark know you see it, quite often they know the gig is up and they'll just take off.
The Shark Man, Dr. Chris Lowe from the California State University Long Beach Shark Lab. Thanks for joining us. That's their environment.
Exactly. So I guess the one thing that we want people to know is, remember, it's their home and we're guests. So as long as we're respectful guests, chances are we can get out of the ocean, they can enjoy their home, and we can enjoy it for recreation.
That's it for Sharks from the Depths. I'm Rick Dickert. Hope you learned something. See you all out in the water.